The practical Jesus 3, being shrewd for the kingdom. Jesus once told a story that feels uncomfortable. Not because it is complicated, but because it is honest. He didn't come to tell comforting words or to make us feel good about ourselves. He came so that we can find a way back to God and be reconciled with Him. This story is called the parable of the unjust steward, as written in Luke chapter 16 verses 1 to 13. A rich man learns that his manager has been wasting his possessions. The steward is called in and told, "Give an account of your management, because you can no longer be steward." In that moment, the man realizes something that many of us also face in midlife. Time is running out. The season is changing. He says to himself, "I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg." So he does something clever but morally questionable. He reduces the debts of his master's clients, hoping they will welcome him into their homes once he is dismissed. Surprisingly, Jesus says the master commends the steward, not for dishonesty but for being shrewd. That's where people get confused. Why would Jesus praise this man? Because Jesus is not praising his ethics. He is praising his awareness. The steward understood three things very clearly. 1. What he had been given was temporary. 2. His role would not last forever. 3. He needed to prepare for what is to come afterwards, and for us Christians that means our next life in eternity. That is the heart of the lesson. Jesus is asking a quiet but piercing question. What are you doing with what has been entrusted to you before you're asked for an accounting? This parable is not about money alone. It's about stewardship, your career, your relationships, your influence, your wisdom, your faith. We don't truly own any of these. They are loaned. And one day we will be asked to give an account, not just of what we avoided doing wrong, but of what we failed to do wisely. Jesus goes on to say, "The children of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than the children of light." In other words, people often plan carefully for temporary things, retirement, investments, legacy, but neglect what lasts eternally. Midlife is a mercy because it gives us a warning while there is still time. The unjust steward acted decisively when he realized the clock was ticking. Jesus invites us to do the same, but with integrity, humility, and faith. Not to manipulate, not to hoard, but to invest wisely, to repair relationships while we still can, to use our resources for good, to pass on wisdom instead of regrets, to turn our hearts back to God, not out of fear, but out of clarity. In the end, the most important question when we meet God won't be, "How much of a success were you in life?" Rather, it's likely going to be, "Did you make good use of what you were given?" That is the quiet, powerful lesson of the unjust steward. And for those of us in midlife, it is not a warning of doom. It is an invitation to live the rest of our days with purpose, wisdom, and an eternal perspective of our lives in eternity with God. Hope this helps and see you in the next one.